There you go, Phoenix Suns fans. An 18-point win for the team in Indianapolis, game 2 of their road trip. And although it was close after the third quarter, the Suns gave up 38 points in that third quarter. They come out, they score 32 points to Indianapolis's Indiana, the Indiana Pacers, the Indianapolis Pacers, to their 18 points. And ultimately pull off an 18-point victory for the Phoenix Suns. All is right in the world of Phoenix, isn't it, Matthew?
Yeah, this is the way I feel like the old Suns were. It was close. The last few games they couldn't get on a run, and now tonight you saw it. Chris Paul ended it in the fourth. He didn't score a point all game. Him, Jake Crowder didn't score a point all game. Oh, and Mikal Bridges didn't score a point all game. But when it mattered, they came through and they pulled away against a crappy team. So good win for the Suns.
Well, an expected win, and I know that at times, again, I think that the emotional roller coaster of each game can be just that if you understand, or if you don't understand that, hey, it's all about the end of the game. It's all about the final quarter. It's all about how you perform in those meaningful moments. And there's going to be moments where the team isn't necessarily locked in, and there's going to be moments where the other team is locked in, and that's okay. I mean, we saw Aaron Holiday just get laser focused, help the Indiana Pacers get back in the game. And for those of you who are on Twitter, you start to see a little bit of a meltdown, like, oh shit, what's going on? It's just like, dude, just breathe. Just breathe. It's all about that end result. And I don't care if it's a 1-point victory. It's like the Raptors game. As long as you win the game, you win the game. The Phoenix Suns are 32-9. That's what matters, because you're not going to go back. If you go 32-9, you have nerds, Suns nerds like yourself, like myself, and probably like a lot of Jamsters who are joining us live in the chat on YouTube, who could probably sit there and remember a bunch of these games. But if you talk to the casual fan on the bar or at the bar on Monday night watching the Rams and the Cardinals game, they'll just know the record, and that's pretty much it. They're not going to sit there and be like, man, that Raptors game, dude, we almost gave it away. That Pacers game, it was like tied going in the fourth. Like, what, man?
Yeah, and I think Daniel Duarte, he put something on Twitter about it. The Suns, if a bar here in Arizona does not have the Suns game on, they should be, just dismantled as a franchise. And it's totally true. I'm assuming that's what happened to him tonight. What happened to me again was the Bally Sports app not working. So when the Suns are trying to figure things out, it's nice when I'm at my mom's house and I'm watching it there. I can just sit down, have a talk about my day with her, see how she's doing. I'm like, oh, the Suns will get it together. They'll pull away eventually. And snap just like that, 20 points. So Suns fans, what you need to do is relax, talk to your mom, give her a little bit of joy in her life, and then everything works out. Pay it forward, all right?
With the family. That's what it's all about. And Dan, we hear you. We've been there. I remember once upon a time you could go into a Buffalo Wild Wings in Tempe, Arizona, and they'd have literally like spelunking on TV. And you're like, can I get a Suns game on here? Please. And they're like, what channel? I'm like, how about fuck yourself? Like, you don't know what channel the Suns game's on?
Whoa,
you're Buffalo Wild Wings.
No.
Hey, coming in hot. Hey, dodge. So, but welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Suns Jam Session Podcast, the best post-game podcast on planet Orange. I'm John. He's Matthew. And you are joining us, whether you're listening or watching along live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. If you are on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit that little bell notification. It's going to let you know when we go live, which is after every Phoenix Suns game. If you're on Facebook or Twitter and you're watching live, head over to YouTube. Do the same if you could. That'd be much appreciated. If you're listening, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on Spotify, just give us a 5 stars. On that note, I think it's time to pop open a beer, Matthew. I got a teeth-cracking cold Coors Light here. I know, because the Rockies are still blue. You got to buy Coors Light at Costco. That's what I found, man. Not only do they give you the 16-ounce version of Coors Light versus the 12-ouncers, but it's pretty much $1 beer, and that's the way life should be. Dollar beer we should never go away from dollar beers.
No, because it's mostly water. And, I'm saving the drinking for Sunday. I'm saving it for the Cowboys game Sunday. Tonight I'm going to go Diet Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I love Diet Dr. Pepper.
It's just one of those nights after this pod at the work a little bit, so might as well get some caffeine in me. I think this has caffeine.
I don't know if it does, but I know it's delicious. Well, pop them if you got them, Suns fans. Crackety crack. Let's talk about this win over the Indiana Pacers. Game 2 of a 5-game road trip for the Phoenix Suns lands them in Indianapolis, where they take on the Pacers, a team that, when you look at their overall roster, there's a lot of names that make sense, but ultimately it shows you that it isn't names that equate to victories. It is chemistry, something that the Phoenix Suns definitely possess. But still,
Matthew, I got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask, are all teams going to have a token Raptor in the stands moving forward for the rest of the season?
Yes, yeah. And what would be even more funny is if Booker were to trade jerseys at the end of games with those Raptors. Basically, take off your Raptor uniform. Booker gives them their jersey just because Booker's playing it so well, where he's, of course, the humble guy, the guy that it can enjoy a joke and can make fun of himself. Right. So he's a perfect guy for this to happen to. Anybody else in the league would be throwing fits, defending themselves against the Raptor. But it's one of the weirdest things you've ever seen in the NBA. It's probably never, ever happened. Even the Suns gorilla, the antics he has on the court of actually doing the spin and Rooney on the floor when the team steals the ball and runs down to the other end. Still, like, this never happens with the mascot. So it's funny, and I hope it continues because I'm sure Booker's it might get a little bit tiring, but I think Booker's enjoying it right now.
Yeah, I think he does too. I mean, you see how he changes his profile pic to the Toronto Raptor. The Toronto Raptor in turn does the same and changes his profile pic to Devin Booker. And in this time of the NBA season, when we are in the middle of January, it's fun to have these nice little antics. It's fun to have these little engagements. Ultimately, because the Phoenix Suns won that game, so it's fun to see that engagement going on, and it's another one of those little kind of national media stories that involve Devin Booker's name in a positive, joking manner. Now initially it came off as kind of like, whoa, Devin Booker needs to chill, man. And then it was, but he embraced it. And I think because of that, as we get near to the All-Star break, his name will definitely be brought up among NBA All-Stars. I know that he wasn't included in the top 4 in guards in the Western Conference in the second release of the fan voting provided by Shams Charania yesterday. I wrote a piece about it on Bright Side of the Sun. I don't know if you read it, Matthew, but the very last line, I'm like, listen, I know it's all rigged, but do your part, Suns fans. That's my kind of homage to you and your constant understanding that it is a kind of a rigged cause. But then you look at Devin Booker tonight, and you see how he does do the things that we need him to do in games when we need him to do them, right? This is a game, as you mentioned, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Chris Paul. No one's really scoring any points. And we talked about it plenty on the last podcast about Devin Booker's inconsistency out of late. Tonight was the other side of the coin, right? As he scored 35 points.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the All-Star voting that's getting to him, because I think I've seen that on Twitter too, the few moments that I do go on there where Booker can't come out and capitalize, and it probably won't ever move the fan voting because that's just the way it is. The Suns have the Valley jerseys. That's a nice look. They're in the finals. Booker's a nice-looking player out there for the Suns, so that's going to sell hot, of course. But when it comes like mid-season, in the middle of the season where you have to these fans have to notice the Suns players like the other stars, like a John Morant or even a Luka Doncic who's having a down year, Booker's always going to come third or fourth with these guys. And we just have to deal with it. And I know the coaches and the players the coaches and the players will do their part and they will get Booker in the All-Star game. So I'm not too worried about it. I know we'll do our own part, but honestly, it's not going to work. It's not going to work right now for fan voting. So every time the results do come out, is this the last one they're going to release probably until coaches voting?
No, I think there's one more. Third? Yeah, because we're still a month and 6 days away from the All-Star game. I believe it's February 20th. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jamster's in the chat.
Yeah, just get used to it. It's probably going to be like this for forever because Booker right now is kind of at a peak of where he's going to be in his career. The Suns are winning. They're the best team in the league, up and down with the Warriors. Back and forth. So it's not going to get any better than this unless they were just undefeated. So for the fans not to vote him in if it were to end today, it's kind of nuts, but that's just the way it is. But Booker tonight just showed off how good he can. It's to start the third. I had to throw this out there really quick. All right.
No, and then. No, and then. No, and then. No, and then. No, and then.
I'm not sure if it even makes any sense, but the way Booker was performing in the third, where it's a 3-pointer, it's a 2-pointer, it's another 3, then and one,
and then
it's
and
like,
then
and then it did not stop for him tonight. And I love it, dude, because I love it when the media focuses in on him. Instead of the all-star voting, it's the whole Raptor thing. No one even notices. I don't know if the First Take crew or anybody talks about Booker not making the all-star game if it were to end today, but no one's going to give a shit until it actually does happen again, until he's a guy that might be a replacement or something. But that's why we have to wait for the coaches vote and stuff, because I think it's going to happen, because performances like tonight, when you only need him and DA to carry your team to victory,
which
of
they
course,
did.
Chris Paul and Jay hit some big shots in the fourth quarter, but they carried the whole team the whole game, and defensively too. So that's an all-star right there. And we know that as Suns fans.
Yeah, we know that. And again, I think the frustrating thing for me is, one, the fan vote counts for 50% of the vote. And I just think that's asinine. I put it in the article yesterday. One of my favorite quotes of all time comes from Men in Black. And essentially it's when Kay and Jay are sitting on the bench, and Will Smith turns to Tommy Lee Jones. He's like, well, why don't you tell people that we know about aliens? People are smart. And Tommy Lee Jones' response is, a person is smart. People are dumb, stupid, and dangerous, and you know it. And like, that's how I feel when it comes to the fan vote. A person is smart. Somebody who understands the game of basketball is smart. But holistically, people are stupid, and they're going to vote Andrew Wiggins as a starter. Andrew Wiggins right now is a starter on the NBA All-Star because the Golden State Warriors have a huge fan base, and they vote. Good, bad, or indifferent. That's what they do. So, again, as a fan of the Phoenix Suns, as a fan of Devin Booker, I want to see a member of the best team in the NBA represented as a starter in this game, not as a bench player, but as a starter. And I know it's not going to happen. It's frustrating that it doesn't happen, but it's just the way it is, because it's a flawed system, because Adam Silver wants the fans' impact. I want the fans to be engaged. It's like, trust me, the fans will be just as engaged if you give them 25%, you give the players 25%, or you give the coaches 25%, the players 25%, the media 25%. Like, why not split it up into 4? And I don't know. I'm sorry that I'm going on an all-star game dissertation,
no, it's
but
fine.
It's just my thought.
No, it makes sense. And honestly, one thing, I'm not knocking the Suns fan base at all. It's just, so our podcast and the PHNX, they're out of the box kind of podcasts that are just distant from the Suns or their own creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I watch like the Kings and the Blazers, like they have their own post-game pods, and they're having terrible years, of course. Well, just decent years for the Blazers, but
yeah,
they have, I'm just saying, their views and stuff after games, even losses, they're skyrocketing. And I'm sure those podcasts have been around for more years than us, but it just seems like the fan base is there, maybe because they have nothing else to pay attention to in life, because here in Arizona and Phoenix, you have a lot more to do maybe. But I'm just thinking, I'm like, our fan base is good. I'm just saying, but when I watch those other pods, I'm just like, where are the other fans? Maybe we just suck. Maybe it's just us. But I just wanted to throw that out there, because we do on Twitter. You see it all the time, the retweets and all that. Kendall Jenner's getting involved, and still it's just not enough. It's kind of insane to think about. We just went to the finals last year, and thank God. I mean, I'm not just, going at any of these Suns fans at all. I'm just saying that it just doesn't seem like the base is there still to really carry these players into a starting position. If it were up to
you're not wrong.
votes.
You're not wrong. And I think part of that is, all right, look at the Blazers, look at the Warriors, look at these teams that have had sustained success over the past decade. And those are two instances of that occurring, right? Those are both fan bases that grew up with social media. So when Twitter was first created, the Golden State Warriors, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Lakers, obviously being a huge fan base, they've had success during that time period in which this platform and these different ways of connecting with other fans have grown. So as they've grown, they've built up a good, solid social media fan base. Whereas the Phoenix Suns, just because of the timing, if you will, when it comes to their success, they haven't had a bunch of success during the social media era. Now that's obviously changing. We see it all the time. We see it as podcast members and hosts and people who are engaged in the social media community. The growth that we've seen just in the past year is pretty big, because people are now starting to gravitate towards Phoenix Suns content. So, you
Yeah.
look at the Twitter page for the Phoenix Suns, they have 1.4 million followers, right? Do you know how many followers the Golden State Warriors Twitter page has?
Can I do 16 mil? I'm just joking. How much?
7 million. 7
Oh, 7
million.
million? 16.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But still,
Yeah.
it goes to show you, I mean,
Yeah.
there's just a vast chasm of number of fans between the Warriors and the Suns just on Twitter. So because of that, because the Suns haven't had sustained success, they don't have that base. Now, as success continues, we'll continue to see that base grow and thus the voting grow as well. But it all starts again with Devin Booker and the way that he plays, right? I mean, you mentioned the third
Yeah.
quarter. He went absolutely bonkers in the third. He went 8 for 12. He played the entire third, 8 for 12 from the field, 22 points, 4 for 6 from deep. He had two for 2 from the free throw line. I mean, he just went into Armani mode, as our buddy Espo from PHNX likes to say. Armani mode is what happened in that third quarter. Still, though, it was him by himself. I mean, 22 of the 34 points were from Devin Booker, and the Suns ultimately lost that quarter 38-34 because you had the Indiana Pacers play as more of a team. So there's pros and cons to Devin Booker going to Armani mode, right?
There is, but I think last pod and maybe many pods before, I just mentioned like keep shooting Book. He'll have his points. He'll get the 30 points once in a while. So you never want him to kind of get out of that Armani mode, just meaning like get those shots up, right? I was thinking today when he's talking trash to a fan on the side after making it hit, I think it was his third 3 in a row or something in the third quarter, whatever. He looks over at the fan and says something and starts laughing. I'm picturing myself as that fan watching Booker. How am I feeling about watching Devin Booker of the Suns as another team's fan? It's pretty awesome when you're that close, watching that kind of player play right in front of you, knock down a 3, and you're talking trash to him. That's one of the best players right now in the league. But like, to me, it still doesn't seem as so, maybe because we are fans, but the way he's playing is great. I love the way he's playing. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying the way fans see him, I think, is different from the way we feel Booker is. Because the last few games where he's not really performing, especially last game, you can see Suns fans kind of go at him and be like, you know what? I've even saw some people on Twitter like, I don't know, I'm not really a big fan of his game still and all this. Like, that is just complete bullshit because this is the best Suns player. This is, whether or not you want to admit, Chris Paul, of course, might be an MVP candidate, but Booker is the best Sun right now. He's the guy who, we need him to step up in big game situations, and he's been able to do that. The growth of him, even over this year as a leader, is something remarkable. And I think we just don't see that stuff unless you're like another fan. We complain a lot about this team when they do lose, where we just go straight downhill. Well, we might still even have the best record in the league, and we'll still say like, oh, we need improvement. We need Booker to step up even more. You look at his stats, everything is just improving. And then his body language is improving. So for me, I kind of forgot what your question was. So I'm just going to end right there.
Did you
not ask a question?
I might have.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I forgot too. But again, I agree with you, Matthew. And that's the key here is, if Devin Booker doesn't go out and score 30 points and it's a close game, a lot of Suns fans will just kind of point the finger at Book. And you can't do that. You can't do that with Devin Booker because he's part of a true team. And there's games where he understands like, hey, to be the best member of this team, I'm still going to take the most shots, but there will be a lot of deferral. There will be a lot more opportunities for other members of the team. And then there's nights like tonight where for some reason he's like, I'm just going to take over, guys. Like, this is my game. I'm feeling it. I'm in a rhythm. Again, 35 points on 25 shots. That's where you want him to live. And we talked about it a lot on the last pod about, the quote unquote inconsistency. And it's just inconsistency relative to his entire career that we've seen. And I'm okay with it because the Suns have the best record in the league. He's playing just fine, playing the least amount of minutes he's played in a long, long time. So he's just kind of getting us through the season. We're still winning. So again, Devin Booker carrying this team. And there was another guy who's helping carrying in this team who had a fantastic game as well, man.
Watch.
Yeah, Deandre Ayton in this game, I mean, for some reason, he found his rhythm, ended with 27 points and 12 rebounds, 12 of 18 for the field, including a three-pointer, Matthew.
Yeah, the three was kind of crazy because it's kind of just like off ball. It looked like he shot it like a Jay Crowder, right? Because usually when he shoots it, he's just wide open. Everyone just leaves him alone. But it seems like there was bodies around. It wasn't really just like stop and shoot. He did have a few seconds, but usually it's like he's just completely wide open. But it seemed like more of a three just was out of the ordinary for him and he drains it. Maybe that's more of what his shot should be. Because when he's around the rim, and he takes his time, but he also has that kind of rush and instant, just in his mind, he's like, I got to make a quick decision. And it's usually always a good decision. And he's always usually efficient that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the same thing from the three, which was really nice. The best part of this game, there's two things I liked. I liked him and him and Stix look pretty good. They kind of look like they're trying to figure things out together because Stix has to play that 4 minutes, the 4 minutes. And there was a few times where I feel like Ayton wouldn't respond to Stix the way Stix wanted him to, because the way Ayton is right now, if maybe getting his feet underneath him, but he still has a hesitancy to kind of work with a 4. Like you never see him do that. So Stix and him, maybe they can figure something out because it looked like they were trying to get something to go and it just didn't work. The other thing is him against Sabonis was actually really, really fun to watch in the third quarter. He was trying to body him up. They're kind of going back and forth at each other. I mean, he pretty much owned him in the first half. He was very finesse around the rim, but still just got those points up. It didn't matter. I mean, that's the way DEA is, right? But even more finesse in a way. But going back and forth with an all-star like Sabonis and just kind of owning him, I mean, that's all-star worthy too. That's a guy who understands like, hey, you're going to score on the one end against me. He barely got a layup past him for a block. Then DA goes back to the other end. He takes the ball and he just wants that easy little jump hook. And when he wants it, those shots look so much better for him. And it just looks like they do go in. When he wants those little hook shots, they go in. And it looks difficult from where we're watching. And it probably is a difficult shot. But his view from when he gets up there, it looks like it's easy if because it's so consistent whenever he wants it. So great game. And it's just overshadowed, right, from what Booker did tonight. I mean, DA had an outstanding game today.
It might be overshadowed, but it's definitely appreciated. I'll tell you that because him and both DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker combined for 33 points in the first half of the Suns. What did they have? 46? The hell is going on outside of your house? Jesus Christ, is a fucking drag race?
Yeah, it was. Well, the other kind of drag racing, yeah.
Okay. But 33 combined points between DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns' first 46 points in that first half. And you're right. You unpacked a lot there. So let me see if I can remember everything that you said and kind of give my 2 cents on it as well. With Jalen Smith, you're right. When DeAndre Ayton has been successful this year, it's with a small power forward a la Jay Crowder. So he and Jalen Smith are both trying to learn to navigate space because Jalen Smith, guess what? He earned the right to get those backup 4 minutes, especially with Cameron Johnson being injured. And it's almost like it's something different for DA because there's another rebounder on the floor. Although the Phoenix Suns are 8th in the league in total rebounds, they outside of DA, they don't have a consistent dominant rebounding force, right? It's team rebounding. It's Devin Booker getting 6 here. Chris Paul gets 5 here, what have you. And he had to navigate some minutes with Jalen Smith out there tonight. And I thought that was fun to watch. I mean, I wrote it in my notes. I'm like, this is fun to watch. We get to see Jalen Smith come alive with Devin Booker, with Chris Paul, with DeAndre Ayton all on the floor. It's like, this is what a lot of Suns fans have been hoping and envisioning, whether they want those minutes to be something that they can utilize for a trade later, or if it's the next step in the next iteration for the Phoenix Suns in their future. It's nice to see those minutes. And you were right. You could definitely see that DeAndre Ayton was trying to figure out where his space was as Jalen Smith was trying to figure out his space as well. As for Domantas Sabonis, he ended with 14 and 14 tonight. And what's interesting is DeAndre Ayton flipped the script on Domantas Sabonis. Coming into this game, they had played each other in a total of 5 games. Domantas Sabonis is 4-1 against DeAndre Ayton. In those games, DA has averaged 12.8 points and 10.8 rebounds, whereas Sabonis has averaged 21.8 points and 14.4 rebounds. That's a long way of saying that in the past, Sabonis has kind of owned DA, right? He's one of the few centers who DA really has had a problem with. And I don't know what size ball cap Domantas Sabonis wears, because that head, that
Yeah.
melon he's
Yeah.
got is just massive. But DA owned that melon tonight. And ultimately, as you mentioned, he had anything he wanted. DA's got, what he has? He has a beautiful turnaround jumper from like 17 feet, man. It's gorgeous. And it goes in with like high efficiency.
Yeah, he does. And Sabonis's head, it reminds me, you go to Hollywood, you see those the movie stars walking around with the big heads, little
Yes.
bodies, but his head is even like a big body, but he has a movie star head. You know what I mean? He does
Yes.
on top of that 7-foot frame or however tall he is. But yeah, DA, I mean, him going head to head, what you would think really with Sabonis is he had something to play for before, right? The Pacers were a team that kind of just they leaped a little early in their process with going to the playoffs 2 years ago. Last year kind of having a stinker, but Sabonis was an all-star. He had something to prove. Now it just seems like, I mean, Sabonis looks like a good team guy out there, but it just seems like he's just going through the motions, playing a little bit of point Sabonis out there, doing some things, passing, but he's playing with a lot of younger guys too from their bench, 10-day contract guys, so they don't really have anything, any kind of flow to their offense. So it's kind of tough to watch, but the way DA is right now, he's really found himself since those matchups. It's funny, my mom asked me, she's like, my mom, do the Suns always beat this team? And I'm just like, yeah, I think so. And now they're 1-4 the last 5 games. So never mind. I guess I was wrong about that.
Yeah, don't lie to Rose. She's a saint. Quick fun fact: Matthew has exactly 666 followers on Twitter.
Oh, do I?
It's terrifying.
Nice. Let's keep it that way. All right.
It's funny.
Log off now.
It's funny because I remember you and I one time we went to Hollywood. We were helping out our niece move, and we went into a bar to go watch some football games because it was this time like 2 years ago. It was January 2020. And in the bar, it was just like all these people. You could tell they were like actors, aspiring to be actors, and they have like really big, defined heads with like little bodies. And we're like, oh, actor body. And Domantas Sabonis is just that. It's just you make him bigger. You make him like 6'11".
Yeah,
stretch
him out.
Stretch him out. It's like he still has what would be considered a small body, but his head is just absolutely massive. So I'm officially done with the Domantas Sabonis slander when it comes to his head. So. But talking about Jalen Smith, I liked what I saw with him tonight. I liked his just understanding that when he is on the court, his goal is to be a rebounder. And he ended tonight with a total of 17 minutes, 0 points. He was 0 for 4 from the field, but he had 12 rebounds. And his one elite skill is his rebounding, and he did that fantastically. And here we are talking about a guy who had 0 points in the game, but had a huge impact because you're going against Sabonis and you're going against Turner. And as you mentioned, beyond that, there isn't much depth. So what the Phoenix Suns strategy was, we'll put Jay Crowder in there initially, and then we're going to rotate Stix in, and then JaVale. We're always going to have some big bodies out there so we can beat them on the boards throughout the entire game, not just when Turner and Sabonis are out there. So, the Phoenix Suns, a team that's been out-rebounded over the past few games, out-rebounded the Pacers by a total of 51-42 and only gave up 9 offensive rebounds. Another thing that they've done, the Raptors just killed them on the offensive glass. What did you see from Jalen Smith tonight, especially when it comes to how he navigated the space opposite of Deandre Ayton?
I think offensively, he's still trying to find out what to do because he's like a mosquito, like attracted to the light, right? I think they're attracted to the lights, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, the bug zappers. That's what he looked like to the paint. He just, as far away as he is away from the paint, he automatically just gets sucked right back into the paint. He's like a follow-up rebounder. I mean, even on the McGee, I think it was the third quarter. Was it the putback dunk? The end of the third, or maybe the first?
It was the end of the first.
End of the first. Yeah, even Jalen Smith was right behind him to do the same exact thing. Like, he just knows exactly where to go whenever the ball's falling off the rim. So it's an amazing thing to have because he is just a backup rebounder. He's a guy that tips it. He'll go out to the 3-point line. He knows how to adjust his body to not foul the opponent when trying to tip the ball away. DA does it sometimes, and even Jalen Smith used to do it where he's trying to tip the ball out and he'll just kind of clobber the guy and get a foul. He's trying to find himself, in position to just tip those out to a teammate or just grab him himself. That's what he wants to do right now because he obviously wants to play the 5. He's so good in the paint, I feel like, around the rim, where he's not going to get that opportunity right now. So he has to play through these minutes where he can just be on the floor. But even him not scoring a point, I didn't even notice that. I didn't
Yeah.
until right now because the game itself was just so good tonight from him that I just didn't notice that he even missed a shot tonight.
Yeah, again, he's putting together more and more consistent outings that's putting on film something that, again, Suns fans can be excited about or Suns fans can look to trade. And we're rapidly approaching that season. Trade season is just around the corner. The NBA trade deadline is in February, if I remember correctly. The exact date is sometime. I don't know. Do you know what the trade deadline
February.
is?
I just say February 12th. I mean, usually the Jamsters can
2022.
correct us as
The
we just get
10th.
everything wrong.
The
The
10th.
10th. Okay.
So, I mean, we're less than a month away. So, obviously, Jalen Smith his name comes up when it comes to trades. And I saw an interesting one the other day that I'll bring up, and I kind of want to discuss a little bit. Maybe the Jamsters who are watching along live in the chat, hey, hit that thumbs up down below. Hit it. You have Jalen Smith going to Boston. You have Robert Covington coming to the Phoenix Suns from the Portland Trailblazers, and the Portland Trailblazers receiving Dennis Schroeder and Dario Saric. This is one that I saw online. The math works, so we don't have to sit there and be like, well, mathematically, everything works. And with Damian Lillard going down with the abdominal surgery and no one really knowing when he's going to be back, this is a trade that kind of works for everybody. Is this something that you would explore, Matthew? Again, Jalen Smith to the Boston Celtics, Robert Covington to the Suns from Portland, Dennis Schroeder going to the Blazers from the Celtics, and Dario Saric going to the Blazers from the Phoenix Suns.
Now, if this were to go through, let's say tomorrow, else even before you presented it, I would be like, what? We're getting Robert Covington, a guy that, he can play the 5 or 4. He played the 5 with the Houston Rockets at times, which he looked like he can kind of hold himself there, but we need a guy that's a 4, obviously.
Yeah.
And right now, because Jalen Smith's doing so good at the 5, it's like, okay, maybe we can get him, and that would make more sense for the 4. But if this was just presented to me, I'd be like, no, I don't like this at all. I feel like every other team in my eyes is winning. Dennis Schroeder even coming to our team, and not really a team player, but right now the way Cameron Payne is playing, it's just kind of like, do we need another backup point guard, which we didn't think we would need this far into the season, and then letting go of Dario Saric. I don't like this. I think maybe Covington 1 year ago or 2 years ago would be better, but the way Smith is just presenting himself right now on the floor, I don't think he can take that away to trade him just for a guy like Robert Covington. And I'd even look at how much he's making, of course. It's probably going to be more than what Jalen Smith will make next year when he gets signed by a team. But
well, Covington is on
12 mil.
He's got 12.9
right?
mil, and I think 1 year left on his deal. So this is kind of we're bringing you in, we're utilizing you for a year in a championship run, and then you'll kind of go your separate way. So essentially, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, we're taking Jalen Smith, who we did not extend the rookie deal to, and we're trying to turn him into something that can help us win now, right? And the question you have to ask yourself is, what is the ultimate need for the Phoenix Suns? As you mentioned, Cameron Payne, who I'll touch on here in a bit, is he something that we need to improve? Or is adding an athletic wing who plays physical and is proven to play physical something that we want going into the playoffs? Or are we going to continue to provide Jalen Smith with the amount of minutes to where he's ultimately going to be that guy who's going to be able to help us in the playoffs? So it's an interesting conversation, obviously, to have. If you take a look at what some of the Jamsters are saying in the chat, we've got I had one. Yeah, Fabio says, not sure if he likes this trade.
Yeah.
Metal Mike, one of our elite Jamsters, he's like, And then you got Albert. He's like, don't trade Stix. I know we're in a win now situation, but why not keep him instead of getting a rental player? And, again, the reason for getting a rental player is the reason I said is because you don't know if you're going to get Stix next year, so why not improve that asset? The real stink meaner says no. So, again, it's tough.
I don't like it.
Yeah. I kind of like it, and that's why I brought it up. That's why I kind of brought it up. I kind of liked it. But we all know the guy that we want. We know the guy who would be great playing for the Phoenix Suns and is better, in my opinion, than Robert Covington because he doesn't need the ball as much. And we saw him tonight, and it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit that he didn't play on our team.
What's up?
The juice, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Tory Craig, the Juice Craig, man. It was good to see him tonight. And it hurt my feelings a little bit. I kind of wish he was still there playing for the Suns.
Yeah, it's hard to see, and it's like, hey, come take these Shamet minutes, please. Even though Shamet had 6 points in a
Yes.
row, but when Shamet's scoring, that means the Suns are gonna win. Like they're already up by 20, they're up by 15.
Yeah, that's when he starts hitting his
Just no
threes.
digs at him. Yeah, no digs at him. But yeah, it's hard to see him because those minutes could go over very well here in Phoenix if he takes Shamet's minutes, right? I mean, that's where you would place him at. I mean, he is a 3 or whatever, but I just would rather have him in the lineup. Positionless basketball with him
Bingo.
beside a couple
And I
point
guess
guards
you
on
could
the
say
floor.
the same thing as for Robert Covington. So who knows? Maybe we can work a trade out for one. I don't know. Again,
And yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead and I'll go after you.
Well, what I was going to say was real quick. I want to give a shout out to Cousin Will in the chat. Gave us $9.99 in the super chat. We really appreciate that. He says, "Does Matthew get a Cam Joe jersey yet? Go Suns!" We're working on it. It's hard to get these jerseys, man. They they release them, then they sell out instantly, and so
next Christmas, right?
Yeah. Next Christmas, we'll get you Cam Joe jersey. The very next day, we'll take it away. But again, we really appreciate that in the super chat. What I was thinking when it comes to Landry Shamet, because again, I had a frustration with him tonight, as I typically do. You take a look at his final line: 20 minutes, 8 points for the Landry man. But of course, it's all in the fourth quarter. 6 of his 8 points come in the fourth quarter. And I was thinking, when we talk about trades, and obviously this is a topic we're going to be talking about a lot on this podcast for the next 3 weeks, is you don't want to disrupt the chemistry. Right? Like that's always been my big thing. That's why you don't trade Jay Crowder. You don't do many of these big deals to bring in another big puzzle piece.
Yeah.
What you're essentially doing is the rough edges, you're trying to smooth them. You don't want to disrupt the chemistry for this team. You don't want anyone on this team, to go, hey, I'm an expendable asset as well. You look back at a lot of those Danny Ainge Boston Celtics teams, and a lot of the reasons they weren't successful is because they were never truly comfortable with their position on the team, because at a moment's notice they could be traded, and Danny Ainge made no secret that he was willing to do so. But when it comes to like a Landry Shamet, a guy who's new to the team, he hasn't been with this team for more than 6 months yet. He already kind of got paid right off the bat. That makes his contract a little bit more tradable. I think that Landry Shamet really is the kind of player that you can dish, get back an asset, and it won't affect the team from oh man, am I next on the chopping block? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he might need that too, just himself, because the way he looks out there still, even on the alley-oop missed dunk, which, hell of a try there, really seriously. But then after that, I'm just like, the look on his face still is just kind of like he always has that look like, I'm almost so close. He's always like, I'm so close to making these shots, even this alley-oop dunk. Like, why is it not going in? And just that's the look he's always kind of had. And maybe it is just a Shamet face, but maybe he just might need to start somewhere else. Not starting, but a new start somewhere else on another team to help them, because maybe it's just too much in their head. Oh, you're on mute.
Story of his career, though, huh?
Yeah. And just I want to go back on Stix really quick. So, this is my last Stix take. So Cameron Johnson, of course, last year looked really good in the postseason. No one really even knew, but I think he has the same qualities that Stix has, where they both just don't give an F, and they both have a lot of confidence.
Yes,
and they just know what to do to help their team win now. So I think those are things that will pan out pretty well. And like, there's nothing in the last few weeks or 3 weeks with Stix that has shown me that he's going to do a terrible job in the playoffs. Like, you can't trust him. I trust this guy just as much as DA in there right now. I'm not saying he's a better player. I'm just saying to what he's supposed to be doing on the court, I trust him just as much as that guy. But I don't know. I'd have to throw that out there. So I think it's going to be okay if we do have Stix going into the playoffs. I think we'll be okay. Even due to an injury, he has to play 30 minutes a game. I think he can hold his own. So, but that's probably too much.
No. I'm with you as well, and I think he's growing into those minutes, and that's what that's the double-edged sword that is Stix right now. It's like he's playing well enough to where his asset, or him as an asset, has grown to where maybe you could take him and get that fringe player, but you also kind of want to see what's going on. So that's why it's very interesting that everything that's going on with Jalen Smith. And as Westville says in the chat, he goes, Stix is a natural-born shot blocker as well.
Yeah. We forget about that too. I always forget about that.
Yeah, shot blocking, and rebounding. He's elite at both.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Landry Shamet. Felix in the chat says, Voida, go slow on Shamet, please. He played decent tonight.
Mhm.
Ted Lubin says Shamet played solid defense tonight. I think he's starting to figure out his place on the team. So I'll go a little bit easy on Shamet. I won't play his drop yet. He hasn't earned a drop yet. But other people, Renzo, Shamet out, please. And Orzov Brew says, not a Shamet fan. So, I mean, again, you get mixed reviews with him. And I'm just saying that he is somebody who is expendable, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think that his contract's very tradable, and if you trade Campaign, that's going to have a different effect on this team, because that's a guy who's been with this team since the bubble, and there's a camaraderie there, and you want these guys to think and to operate the way that they have, and something that James Jones has done ever so eloquently in this day of modern age sports is really allow this team to embrace the team concept, and it's hard to do that, and it distracts players when you take chunks of those out, because then the players start remembering it's a business and they start operating as such.
Mhm.
Speaking of Campaign, I wanted to bring him up. I got a quick question for you that I was crunching some numbers today during the game, and I got this question for you. Okay. I'm going to pose this question for you. I'm going to give you some statistics, and I'm going to allow you to answer it. Sound good, Matthew?
Yep. I am
Okay.
ready.
Is Cameron Payne the modern bench version of Eric Bledsoe as a member of the Phoenix Suns? So statistically, here's what I got. Campaign this season, his per 36, he's averaging 18.1 points, 6.4 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3.4 turnovers on 38.8 shooting percentage, 31.9 from deep, and 89.4 from deep. Eric Bledsoe, his per 36 in 5 seasons with the Phoenix Suns. Do you remember that he played 5 seasons here?
Did he? Wow.
Yeah, it's like 4.5, but like,
Yeah. No. Those
yeah,
times 5 was when you're having fun, right?
yeah, I guess,
All
man.
those good times.
I was like, good God, 5. But in his 5 seasons here, he averaged, as a starter, albeit, his per 36, 20.1 points. So just a couple points more than Cameron Payne does per
Mhm.
36. The exact same amount of assists, 6.4. 0.1 more rebounds than Campaign, 5.1 rebounds, and 3.6 turnovers, which is just a little bit more than Cameron Payne averages this season. In his per 36, his is 3.4, Bledsoe's 3.6. Better field goal percentage, 44.9 to Cameron Payne's 38.8. Better 3-point shooting, 34% to Cameron Payne's 32%, and worse free throw percentage, 81.2 to Cameron Payne's 86.4. So I'll ask you again: is Cameron Payne the modern bench version of Eric Bledsoe as a Sun? And is that how far we've come as a franchise? Is somebody who essentially did what Eric Bledsoe did as a starter for 5 years is now our backup point guard?
Well, first, I don't really buy into the per 36 stats, because I just feel like it's just a different kind of player when you're playing that many minutes. Because I don't think Cameron Payne can hold his own. Like, even though we don't like Bledsoe, Bledsoe can hold his own with the 36 minutes, as he could in the past. Past few years he couldn't. But the thing is, like, both players, what they remind me of is like, when they get hot, when they look good, it's like, oh, this player's so good. And then when they go through the struggles, it's like, man, can we even do anything with this player on our team? Are
Yes.
we able to, with Bledsoe when he was a starter, how far could we go with this guy as our starting point guard? Now we're asking the same question with Cameron Payne. Someone just threw in the chat, I would trade Cameron Payne. I mean, it's gotten that bad from last year to where we're thinking kind of the same thoughts that we had about Bledsoe, right? Where we just kind of can do without him. We definitely can right now, because he's not hitting on all cylinders like we thought he would. It's the same exact thing with Bledsoe. So those two are comparable to me in that way. But it's kind of weird how close those stats do match each other, even though I don't really buy into the per 36.
Well, the reason I like the per 36 is it provides an opportunity for an even playing field of comparison, because you're right. Cameron Payne averages 20 minutes a game, whereas Bledsoe for his 5 years averaged 33 minutes. So it's 13 minutes difference. So that's why I like the per 36. It allows us to go, okay, let's statistically put these on the same playing field. The reason I brought this up is while watching Cameron Payne, who kudos to Cameron Payne. He had a very solid and productive game tonight. 5 for 7 from the field. He had 11 points. He had 5 assists. So he was playmaking tonight. Total turnovers from tonight was a big fat 0. So we got a very solid Payne tonight. As Ted Lubin says in the chat, he led the team in plus minus tonight. So this is not a game where you're obviously going to beat up on Campaign. There was just a couple times where I saw him go down the lane, and I've compared him to Barbosa especially a lot recently with his struggles, because he's taking Barbosa level difficulty of shots and they're just not going in. But there were some times where I saw him kind of go down the lane with reckless abandon, like Eric Bledsoe used to do, with no plan, and jump in the air, turn around, just hope somebody was there and throw it to him. He did that like twice in this game. That's what like sparked the Eric Bledsoe comparison to me. Fabio said it a little bit earlier. He goes, different roles. Campaign is more like Barbosa than Bledsoe. And I agree there. But I just think that's funny that, if you look at those per 36, a guy who used to be our starting point guard for 5 years is now, we're comparing him to our backup point guard. That's how far we've come as a franchise.
I know, and how much we kind of complain still about this team.
Yes. A couple things I wanted to talk about when it comes to the Indiana Pacers before we hand out the hardware for the Jam Star of the game. TJ Warren is out. He's played 4 games this season. Is that guy ever going to be healthy? And did the Suns dodge a massive bullet by trading for cash consideration?
That was the hardest thing to hear about that for like a whole summer. Yes. Or, during the bubble, we heard about it every day. I'm like, dude, just give this some time. It was the right move. All right. Who cares about the bubble? He's a guy we had to get rid of. We
Suns
loved him.
Got murdered
to win.
Day.
You can't have him. You can't have him on a team if you're going to win.
Wasn't that, if I remember correctly, did we trade him? Was that the day of that was the day when we drafted Cameron Johnson, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe so, if I remember correctly, because I just remember it was just like negative press. Oh, now they drafted Cam Johnson. They don't know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Fabio, bubble TJ Warren. And even the Suns beat him in, as part of our 8-0 run. We beat bubble TJ Warren. That's how great that team was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I forgot what I was going to say. There's a mosquito in here, so I'm getting distracted.
It's flocking to the lights. But yeah, TJ Warren, obviously you want to see that guy healthy, but again, I think it's just a massive bullet that we ultimately dodged. Good, bad, or indifferent. TJ Warren was somebody who I know you were a big fan of. I liked him.
Yeah.
I wanted him to do well. And once he went to Indiana, another reason why I kind of have always liked Indiana Pacers, because I am a TJ Warren fan. But it's unfortunate that they've kind of gone that way. And then Aaron Holiday. I want to talk about Aaron Holiday. I think that he is somebody who everybody talks about all the different guys who are going to be on the market for this team, right? Or I'm sorry, Justin Holiday. I keep saying Aaron Holiday. Yeah. Justin Holiday. They talk about Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, and Karis LeVert, and we talk about Tory Craig. Man, I would love to have Justin Holiday on this team.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be kind of something where, we just mentioned it, kind of replacing the Shamet minutes. I mean, it's someone that can be more consistent, someone that, you can just trust. And we saw it tonight. It's making 7 threes. He kind of stole the light away from Juice a little bit tonight, because Juice hit a couple threes, was looking pretty good. But it was Justin Holiday where we kind of focused on. We're like, oh, hey, this guy's actually keeping them in the game. And then the way these teams play right now, especially when they're a team like the Pacers, where they're kind of tanking in a way. They're not playing their best. They just keep shooting the three. They just, it's going in for one player over and over again. So then they're just going to keep doing it. And that's why they lose games. So a guy like this is someone that might, what do you think? Maybe a package deal or something that might go somewhere to help a team going into the playoffs. And is a guy that kind of standed out to me. I mean, he was the one guy because Sabonis had the off night.
Well, I mean, he comes from that Holiday lineage. So, he can play defense. He's on a year 2 of a 3-year, $18 million deal. So he's making $6 million a year. So he's unbelievably affordable. So you're right. He's most likely going to be a throw-in as a part of a trade to make some money work. And whoever ends up with this guy is going to, they're going to be thoroughly happy with the asset they've garnered. And I really hope it's not like a Dallas or one of the LA teams. I really hope that he doesn't end in one of those two places, because he's the kind of guy who can be a part of a deal that can make something happen. And he plays fantastic defense. He can shoot the three. I would love to get him on this team and say goodbye to Shamet personally. I think that would just make us better, because, although he's a small forward, he can still play those 2 minutes as he showed tonight. He's such a great talent, and he's one of those low-key guys, man. He's a low-key guy, and he would fit in perfectly with the Phoenix Suns, in my personal opinion. We need one of them Holiday boys. That's what Jay Pizzle says. One of them Holiday bros. I agree, man. I definitely agree. Imagine going and playing the Bucks again in the NBA Finals, and you got some Holiday on Holiday action, man. Oh man, that'd be fantastic. Man. So, We'll see. We'll see. But, again, the trade deadline is just around the corner, Jamster. So expect us discussing not only some trade scenarios, but some dumb trades as well. They're going to be out there.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jamsters, this is a reminder. If you're watching along live, let us know in the chat who your Jam Star of the Game is. And if you're listening, this is a good time to stop, subscribe, rate, and review. Matthew, I think this one's pretty unanimous. I can definitely see DA getting some votes tonight, but you got to give it for the guy who's made 35 points on 25 shot attempts. That's Devin Armani Booker, who owned the third quarter, and despite hitting the team needing a solid fourth quarter in which he only scored 1 point, I think it's Devin Booker, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's weird because I was waiting for Booker to come in to end the game for the Suns, and it ended up just being the opposite, where the team took over. He didn't really need to do anything, and that's why it's so hard for him to win this award, because he has a good game, and then all of a sudden all these guys start stealing, the thunder from Booker, and then they just end up winning Jam Star of the Game. So congratulations, Booker, tonight. I don't know when last time you won it, but it was well earned tonight.
Amen. Yeah, Booker and then DA. Jurassic Book. I like that from Felix. That's kind of funny.
That's
Jurassic
really
Book. Yeah, that's a good one. So, it's definitely Devin Booker making that push for the All-Star game. Maybe he was a little pissed. Maybe he was a little frustrated that he didn't get an opportunity to, Russell Westbrook went from 10th to 5th in the voting.
He's actually having an efficient season, though.
No, over the past week, when he went from 10th to 5th, the team went 1-2, and he shot 20% from the field.
Pretty efficient to me.
Yeah, get the frick out of here. That's fucking Russell Westbrook. So, next up for the Phoenix Suns, Sunday, they're playing Detroit. 11. What time's the game? Like 11 in the morning? Arizona
11 o'clock.
Time?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just in time to watch the Cowboys.
Yes. So I got some news for you, Jamsters, to everyone who's loyal watchers and listeners of the podcast. Just know a couple things. One, if you want to submit artwork, DM us. So Matthew can put it up behind him. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to spread it out a little bit so people can see. Matthew, can you tell us what's going on behind you? Because that is some fantastic looking fan art you got going on.
Yeah, so Luke Godfrey reached out to us, and he said to go ahead and post these up. I guess they're from DBL, which is Double Dribble, dbl.drbbl. Give them a shout out on Facebook and Instagram. Just some really nice artwork. It's really, really, really nice. It actually goes right with my cheeks and everything, man. I blend right in with the sunset behind me. So yeah, shout out to them. And there's a couple more I'm going to be throwing up throughout the season.
Fantastic. So yeah, shout out to Double Dribble on Instagram and Facebook for that fantastic fan artwork. If you want fan art up behind Matthew on the podcast, just hit us up on the DM on Twitter @SunsJam. The other thing you need to know is these next couple games are going to be really quick recaps, because of course the Phoenix Suns like to play right in the middle of fucking NFL playoff games. One being the Dallas Cowboys, Matthew's team, the other one being Monday night against the Spurs, while I'm going to be watching the Cardinals game. So we will not be doing hour-long podcasts. We'll probably be doing 5 to 10-minute ones, being like, yo, who won? Yo, what happened? Yo, I'm drunk. Yo, who's the jam star of the game? Yo, peace. We'll see you next time. Because it's playoff football time, and both of our teams are in the playoffs, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'll ask you this, Matthew. Are you scared about the 49ers at all?
I don't even know anything about them, so
I can tell you everything you need to know. We've beat them twice this year.
Yeah. I'm all I hear on the podcast from Bill Simmons is this is 49ers. No one talks about the Cowboys, so I'm assuming they're on a little bit of a run right now. Jimmy Garoppolo's I don't even know. I haven't watched them play all year.
They snuck it. They barely got into the playoffs. They had to come all the way back to beat the Los Angeles Rams. They did so in overtime. They got Jimmy G. They got Deebo Samuel. They got Eli Mitchell. They like to run the ball. As they were saying, they have an opportunity to really kind of exploit the weaknesses of the Cowboys on defense, but they don't talk about the defense at all. And I feel like the Cowboys can own them.
Cowboys defense is too good this year.
It's good, man. And they were saying on the Bill Simmons podcast, FanDuel, 65% of all moneyline bets have been on the 49ers. Everybody's picking an upset. This is, as Sonia Lovato says, and I know she's a Cowboy fan in the chat, she's rivals from the past. I mean, this goes back to my childhood watching Joe Montana versus the Cowboys and Steve Young and Troy Aikman going at it. I mean, this is This is a
gonna look good.
great. It's gonna look
Good
great.
jersey matchup.
Great
Wow,
jersey
probably one of the
matchup.
best jersey matchups, right?
It is, and if you look at the helmets, it's a great helmet matchup too. It's like whenever the Niners play the Saints, and the Niners play the Cowboys, and the Cowboys play the Saints, they all have like the helmet with the 3 stripes down the middle. It looks nice.
It looks good. It was actually my first checkers set was a Niners versus Cowboys helmets.
Get out of really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
cool.
It looked really good. But yeah, so I've been watching the Cowboys. I'm not too into everything else that's been going on. Of course, a little bit of the Cardinals, but I suck in fantasy, so that just shows you that I haven't been paying attention. So
yeah, well, it means you had a bunch of Lions on your team or something. Yeah, you got a lot of Cowboys talk in the chat. It's going to be an interesting game for you. That's what 1:00 our time on Sunday, which is like right when
I think
Suns
it's
game
at
will be ending.
2:15.
Okay,
I think it's 2:15.
2:15.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, we'll be able to do a little bit longer of a podcast for that one because we'll be at Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers to watch that game. And then the Cardinals play on Monday night, which makes no damn sense to me. It's going to be a fun day though. It's going to be a fun day because it's Martin Luther King Day. I have the day off from work, so I get to watch basketball all day and then watch that game, which will be stressful as fuck because that's just the way freaking playoff games in the NFL go. And then, of course, the Suns are playing the Spurs that night. So that's one where either you can do a podcast and I can pop in and say hi, and you can do it with like Suns Geek.
I know. I knew you were going to ask that. Yeah.
Because I doubt Coach will be wanting to do a pod that night either.
I was going to say, John, for your birthday, I will actually probably reach out to him and I'll ask. But yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll be on for just a little bit.
For my birthday,
everyone will be watching football anyways.
Your birthday's next week, right?
It's Tuesday, I think. Tuesday or Wednesday.
The 18th?
The 18th, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Tuesday. Well, happy early birthday. You're going to be a lovely 22 years old. I'm so proud of you. You can drink now. But yeah, so it's going to be a fun weekend of football. And of course, it's just like when we went to Vegas. It's like we're in Vegas for 2 nights and the Suns played a back-to-back against the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets.
I know.
It's one of those years, but it is
what
it is.
What's even worse is if the Cowboys do move on to next weekend, I have to go to the seminar that's 10 to 8 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next week. So yeah, it's some kind of team building seminar thing. I have to already signed up for it. I have to go. My company already paid for it.
Where's
so
it at?
If the Cowboys play, it's in downtown Phoenix. I forget which hotel. It might be the Marriott. I don't know.
Are you staying at the hotel?
No.
So
I'm thinking hopefully the Cowboys play when they beat the 49ers, that they'll play later, like at 6:30. That way I can catch the end of the game. That's
bullshit. It reminds me of being in the National Guard. So for those of you who don't know, I was active duty for 3 years. I was in the National Guard for 7 years. And the National Guard, the way that it works is, 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year, right? And it always sucked doing that 1 week in a month in January. Because as a cook in the Army, you are there cooking for everybody. You get there before everybody. You have to cook. You're constantly busy. And then like once you're done cooking, then you have to do all the soldiering stuff. So it's like, oh, we're going on a convoy to go fire off our M16s and whatnot, so it's such a, I always remember trying to watch NFL playoff games during that time frame. It's just so frustrating. And I hate doing shit on the weekends. And I'm so happy that like I'm back home. For those of you who are watching, you can see like this is, I'm using my mic, not my headphones. I'm in the house. I'm going to be home for, at least the next couple of weeks. If not, that's it. Permanently, I might be done traveling for the most part. So I'm super excited about just being home and like having the ability to watch football and going to the bar and watching it with you guys. It's not like sitting in a hotel room on Christmas, streaming shit through my phone because the snow fucked everything up and I'm all alone. So I'm excited. So are you saying Niners win or Cowboys win?
I think the Cowboys win. You know what? As much as I don't believe in the Cowboys, that's why there's a lot of because Cowboys always have it up in the playoffs, right? So, but this defense is really, really good, and it's all up to Prescott. If he can just throw the ball more than 10 yards, we got it, man.
There you go. And I don't know what the hell to think about the.
Yeah. Oh, what do you think about the Cardinals?
The Cardinals and the Rams.
That sucks, huh? Playing the Rams.
It doesn't suck though. Like I'm okay with playing the Rams. I actually think that we can beat this team. Because Matthew Stafford is a guy who, if you get any pressure on him, he flounders. And I think he's got PTSD, post-traumatic stress, Detroit, where he wants to throw the ball away because he got pounded in Detroit for so many years. And we've got the edge rushers to do so. For me, it comes down to Kyler Murray playing smart. And if the Rams don't bottle him up and he's willing to run a little bit, we can beat them because our running game is going to be back, man. We got Chase Edmonds, we got James Conner. It does hurt at the wide receiver that DeAndre Hopkins isn't back, but I think Kyler Murray it's a different mode. I'm excited to see. It's like Booker last year. Devin Booker, when he hit the playoffs, excelled. All of a sudden, it was the question we always had, right? Who is Devin Booker in the playoffs? And we saw what Devin Booker was in the playoffs last year. I think Kyler Murray has that same kind of mentality. It's like, it's a different game now. Turn it up. I'm going all out and just enjoy the ride. So Cards win, Cowboys win, and the
and
Patriots
then the following
lose.
weekend we'll figure it out again for the podcast, right?
So we'll see how it goes. But
right.
But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you hanging out at the Suns Jam Session podcast. Make sure that you subscribe, rate, and review. If you're listening to this pod, and if you're here on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button as well. Again, we'll see you on Sunday. If it's brief or not, we'll see. But on that note, everyone take care. Have a great night. And Sonia says, "Listen, you're a Capricorn like me. LOL."
Yeah,
Matthew
I'm a cusp.
always talks about Capricorns. So on that note, take care, everybody.
All right, everyone, go home, love your family.